Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the deep dive.
Good to be here.
Today, we're jumping straight into a really current and pretty complex situation.
Hmm.
It's about how key European allies, we're talking the E3, so the UK, Germany, and France, how they're grappling with the recent U.S. strikes on Iran.
Right.
Our goal today is simple. Cut through the noise for you, help you quickly grasp the very nuanced diplomatic reactions coming out of these capitals.
And what's striking immediately, isn't it, is that initial reaction.
Yeah, sources definitely point to some initial hesitation, almost like head scratching in Western capitals about how exactly to respond.
Well, that hesitation, it's more than just maybe indecision. It really opens up the complexities of allied diplomacy, doesn't it?
How
When
so?
something big like this happens, especially, a unilateral move by a major partner like the U.S.,
Okay.
you often see these immediate reactions start to diverge, even between very close allies. It just shows that constant balancing act.
Balancing act.
Yeah, between like showing a united front for security, but also protecting their own national interests, their own viewpoints.
Yeah.
It's quite the strategic tightrope.
Okay, yeah, a tightrope. Let's unpack that. The E3, they have this long history with Iran, especially on the nuclear file.
Deep engagement, absolutely.
So after these strikes, they put out a collective statement. But what's really interesting, based on our sources, isn't just what they said,
Hmm.
which was pretty bland, mostly about discussing latest developments. It's what they didn't say.
The omission.
Exactly. They completely skipped any judgment, any verdict on the U.S. strike itself.
And that silence, that deliberate choice not to judge in the collective E3 statement, it's highly
It
significant.
speaks volumes, you mean?
It really does. It points to, difficult internal talks, the challenge of finding one single view on such a sensitive military action by an ally.
So the silence is actually a message.
In diplomacy, absolutely. It's a calculated move. Could be trying to keep lines open with Iran, maybe signaling quiet disapproval to Washington, or perhaps simplest, just buying time to figure out a unified stance later.
Right, buying time. And it gets even more complicated because while the E3 as a group stayed quiet on judging the strike,
The individual countries started talking.
precisely, France's foreign minister, for example, the sources note they expressed concern. That feels quite direct, doesn't it? Signals real unease.
It does. Concern is a loaded word diplomatically, which raises the question, why the difference? Because then you look at Germany.
Okay, what about Germany?
Well, Germany's foreign minister seemed to find perhaps some justification, framing it around the goal of stopping Iran getting nuclear weapons. A legitimate goal was the implication.
So, wow, you've got France expressing concern and Germany talking about some justification.
Exactly. Within the same core group of allies. It really underlines how difficult these times are for Western leaders trying to figure out how to respond when their views, or maybe their immediate interests, just don't quite line up.
So, wrapping this up for you, our listener, what we're seeing in the source material is a clear struggle, really, for these European leaders to present a truly unified front.
Definitely a struggle.
The E3 group statement, deliberately ambiguous, avoiding judgment on the U.S. action.
Mm-hmm. Calculated ambiguity.
But then you zoom in, and France voices distinct concern, while Germany finds some justification, at least in the non-proliferation context. It's a fractured picture publicly.
That's the core finding, I think. This significant struggle to align is visible. It's not just some minor diplomatic detail. It's a clear divergence on how supposed allies handle a fast-moving crisis.
And that friction could definitely complicate things down the road, couldn't it?
You'd have to assume so, yes.
Yeah.
Future joint efforts might be harder.
Which brings us to our final thought for you today. Considering this pretty clear divergence we've just discussed in the public statements, and likely the private views too, what does this actually mean for the future unity and maybe the effectiveness of Western alliances when the next big international crisis hits, seemingly out of nowhere? Something to think about.